All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NFL pre-lock show where we are here to answer your questions and really just kind of walk through this slate, talk to you all about each position, who's standing out for us. We're getting news right as we go live, so I know we're going to talk about that too. It's going to be a good one. Put your questions in the chat. We will try to get to as many as possible. If we don't get to you, join DFS Army. Reach out in the Discord and add us, and we will always answer those. So let's get into it, man. Today I have the one and only Burns. You all know him, author of Winning the $1 Million Game. He's our facts guy, our numbers guy. We go to him with a little bit of everything. Then we have Tattoo, our single entry GPP GOAT. Love having you, Tattoo, per usual. And then Fling, you've been on, but it's been a little bit. Raz is out in the wilderness hunting. He showed us more videos than we asked for, but hey, I'm glad he's happy out there. Fling, how are you doing, man? Good to have you.
I'm good, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me on, guys.
Yeah, and you do everything, right? Like GPPs, cash, you're boundless. You do a little bit of everything when it comes to DFS.
Yeah. I try to focus a little bit more on cash and single entry, small field, but yeah, I like getting in the MME waters as well. So a little bit of everything.
Exactly. Awesome. All right, let's jump right into the questions. Carlos came in bright and early with the first one. Said, "Good morning, gents. On the road, but ready to set up my lineups. Let's fucking go. What are your favorite quarterbacks for GPPs and running backs? Any news on the two geek mentions on Friday's show? Thank you in advance." All right, let's get right into the quarterback position. And just kind of talk through who some of your favorite guys when it comes to GPPs on this slate. Fling, you being the guest, we'll let you go first. Who do you like at the quarterback position today?
I like Hurts a lot this week. He's a name I've been clicking. Building Hurts and like 20 max and whatnot. Also, Patrick Mahomes. I think anytime you get Mahomes. His back's against the wall, you're going to get the best version of him. So that's a spot I really like this week. The Chiefs really desperately need to win. So those are the two guys I'm getting to the most right now.
Okay. Tattoo, what about you? Who's standing out for you here?
I'm a Jacoby Brissett guy this week.
All right.
I'm a little over 4 times the field. And then Hurts, Goff, and Mahomes.
Nice. Burns, where are you at here?
Yeah. So I'll probably when I look at Million Maker lineups, I'll probably be residing right around Patrick Mahomes. I'll be having Goff in there, Caleb Williams, Jacoby Brissett, Lamar Jackson, and then I've been hand building with Jalen Hurts. I only hand build with guys that are outside my parameters of metrics. So that's where I'm standing firm this week. It's probably going to be 7 quarterbacks in my Millie Maker. Though I've hand built a few lineups with Jordan Love this week, seeing that he is a home favorite quarterback that is absolutely under the radar type play. Mm-hmm. But I only built them for MME only, like I hand built them. So these are throw-ins. If they don't do anything, I'm just going to be like, okay, no problem.
Yeah. I like pretty much all the quarterbacks you all mentioned. The one guy I'm really highlighting on or really taking a stand on this week is Lamar. He's going to be my highest owned quarterback this week. Next up, we're still focusing on GPPs. I'm sure we'll get questions about both of these positions again, but keeping it pretty high level at the running back position, who are you making a priority, Burns?
At the running back position, it's kind of interesting this week. You can, if you haven't been in my channel yet, you can really get what my thoughts are on the top 2 salaried guys that are actually viable today. That's Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. I do not think Jonathan Taylor is viable given his salary. Yep. I think it's too restrictive on your entire lineup, especially with guys like MCB, Amon-Ra St. Brown. These are the guys that you really want to try to get into your lineups, and having JT in a really tough matchup on the road against Kansas City it's just hard. It's really hard. And so with that, you can get my thoughts on it. So I really went into the specific parameters of each game, knowing that we have Thanksgiving slate on Thursday and how that was utilized in the past 2-3 years for Jahmyr Gibbs. I think it was 2 years because, those were the only two slates. 2 years, I mean. And he's kind of just average this weekend. It's not been something that's like outstanding, like 30s plus on DraftKings performance. And then on the opposite side, Bijan, he's just not meeting all the Vegas metrics that are in play. And when we look at Vegas metrics, everybody starts there, and it's really a great bounce off spot in my research because it really narrows down the field drastically. Like I don't have 1,000 players to pull from now. Now I have 300 because of Vegas metrics. And those are just throwing out numbers there. But when I look at Bijan and I look at the exact same metrics that he had in 23 and he had in 24, the same exact week, same exact game on the road in New Orleans, it really comes to be that he's had a couple of he's had one pop off. He didn't get there with the rush yards, but he got there with the receiving yards. He didn't get there in the other one with the receiving, but he got there with the rush. The one he was underdog on the road, similar to where he's at right now. But in that year, away running backs that were underdogs were doing so much better than they are this year. So I'm really probably just going to cap him at field ownership. I think he's at 17%. I'm probably going to cap him at 20 and just call it a day for him. I'm not going to go above that. I think that's enough to actually get him into enough lineups where if he does pop, you can actually do okay.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. And I'm with you on a lot of that too. So far, you haven't said anything yet where I'm like, oh, you've crossed the boundary. I think we're locked in.
Yeah, I think what we could see, and it's not something that's going to pop like,
okay,
oh my gosh, this guy's going to do amazing. He may even slide under 20 points, or he may slide a little bit above 20 points, is David Montgomery today. In years past, he's been around that 18 to 20 mark on the slate before Thanksgiving. His props are interesting. I mean, his TD props, anytime TD scores at minus 155 today. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs is a ridiculous minus 330 with a plus 185, two touchdown plus. And so what Vegas is telling you is that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get a touchdown, regardless of how this goes. But Montgomery's in line for a touchdown as well. I think they absolutely destroy the Giants. I think it's probably 5-6 touchdowns in this game, in and around there. I just don't know where they're coming from. Amon-Ra's got a great prop. He's got the best prop on the entire slate for wide receivers today at minus 135 for a touchdown. So, it's going to come from somewhere from these three guys. I just don't know where. And so that's kind of what Vegas is telling us.
Yeah. And the nice thing about Montgomery is you aren't getting a lot of ownership, which is different than the other two guys, which means you're automatically getting a little bit of exposure to a sexy spot. So I like that. Tattoo, what about you? How are you thinking about running backs today?
Excuse me. Kind of along the same lines. Kind of prioritizing Gibbs and Robinson. Emanuel Wilson, I am definitely under field weight. I don't trust him at all.
Okay. Why?
I haven't seen anything to make me trust him.
Fair.
And, I mean, Green Bay, it's not like Green Bay has some explosive offense. They're kind of boring.
Sure.
I'll just take my chances. When everybody else is running there,
Okay.
I'll run away. Trevion Henderson is probably the running back. Him and Etienne are probably the ones that I'm way over the field on.
Damn, all right. You're just swinging for the fences. I like it, Tattoo. For Henderson and ETN, both of them have backups who are pretty involved. Are you worried about that, or you just still like their upside in their matchups?
I still like their upside, and I have some damn tootin'. So
Yeah. A little bit. Okay.
mixed in a little bit.
Fling, where are you at with running backs this week?
It's funny because it just changed so much.
Yeah.
I will say I'm under on Chase Brown. Like, I understand the prop projection. I actually understand the chalk based on, just the receiving volume that he's getting. But that's just going to be a fade for me. And with Emanuel Wilson, he's a guy that I'm going to be eating that chalk now, just because when you look at, favored team, they're like 7-point favorites. They're at home. The Vikings give up an average of 21 fantasy points per game, which isn't a ton, but also when you look at his price, that's right around 4x. So, with a lot, obviously, of upside, I don't think he's going to kill you, if he gets 15 points at 5,300. But certainly if he goes for, 25, he's going to be like a gotta have a guy for sure. And right around 20 would probably be enough. So, I really like Emanuel Wilson. And then, the Gibbs and Bijan are the top guys that I'm getting to the most. And then just, really kind of mixing in some of these other guys that are, I think, in good spots that could nuke Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. And I'm with you, Tattoo, on Travion Henderson. Whatever you want to say, genie's out of the bottle, cat's out of the bag. It's the best running back matchup on the slate, and he's shown, how good he can be at low ownership. Like, if 4% is what I'm seeing right now, if he does get a lot of run, he could definitely be a guy that you need against the Bengals.
You know what? Y'all are kind of not playing Henderson was me playing a bit scared. Drake May, I don't hate, but I just feel like is a bit too expensive in comparison to some of the other pay up options. Whereas Henderson, we aren't paying that top dollar price tag for at this point with the matchup. So I'm with you. I like being over the field on him. Derrick Henry's the guy I am going to be significantly over the field on. I just like this Baltimore offense this week. And then I will be over the field on Wilson, primarily because I can't stand a slate where I'm looking at names like Alvin Kamara and Ashton Jeanty and god-awful, at least Jeanty is in a really bad spot, and thinking that's viable, and I'm not going to play Wilson. So it could burn me. Like you said, Tattoo, I haven't really seen much from him, but I will be over the field there. So, nice. Let's see.
I will say he's in my single entry. I ate it there.
Yeah, I get it. Red Yoda Girl. Okay, I get it. Who is your favorite cash quarterback today? Fling, I'm happy we have you here. What are your thoughts when it comes to cash quarterbacks?
For me today, it's really just Drake May and Jacoby Brissett for cash at quarterback. I'm sticking with Jacoby Brissett. Like, he's still too cheap. He's averaging 23 fantasy points per game since he's taken over as starter, and he's only 5,300. So, he's going to be my cash game quarterback today.
Yeah, as someone who really likes the idea of fading guys who have been doing well pretty consistently, I really need them to increase the price tag on Brissett. It just makes it so I can't do it, even though I like the idea of it. Let's see. Cameron said, should we be pivoting off Wilson to Swift? Burns, this is something you were talking about a little bit before the show, like potential pivots off of Wilson, even though we do like him as a play.
You mean Emanuel Wilson?
Yeah, Emanuel Wilson.
I think I was more or less talking about Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown is probably one of the most volatile players on the entire slate today. At the running back position. He's not looking very well. Like, this is not something that I'm clicking the button saying, yay, thank you for he's going to be he's going to be about 25% owned today. especially now that we got Emanuel Wilson. So that's going to take and drop his ownership down slightly. It's going to downgrade his ownership because of that. And Chase Brown's like defensive metrics that he's going to be going up against are not good. Like New England is a top defense against run. They're in the top 3 in the NFL in every metric across the board for defense against running backs, whether it be pass catching and just regular rush, their defensive line, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just not a good scene for Chase Brown. I understand he's going to get a lot of targets. I get that. I holistically get it. He is going to be a part of my player pool only because of that. But it's not something I'm in love with. His metrics for Vegas are absolutely atrocious. It's not even close to being a good play. So with that, Wilson becomes a de facto 5,300. He's home. He's favored. The only problem is that, we just don't know what we're going to get with him, because he's just been a guy. We talk about this all the time, just a guy. So when you get a fill in, I get it. I know where a lot of coaches are going to go with this. I know where a lot of touts are going to go with this. They're going to say, throw him in, core him 100% in all your lineups. And honestly, if he goes off, he goes off, but I don't play that way.
Yeah.
And it's a very dangerous way to play in DFS, because if you put 100% on one guy and he fails, and let's just say he fails and he gets 10, that's a failure in DFS, especially in the Millie Maker lineups and these large field GPPs. If he fails, and he has probably about an 85% fail rate right now, 80 to 85% fail rate, then you're really going to have a tough day today. So I would cap his ownership at a global max and not go all in on this guy. Now, if he blows up, then, if you went and you put him in 100% of your lineups, congratulations. You're a czar of prophecy. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's just the two different philosophies when it comes to DFS play. Like, some people like to go big or go home. That's a lot of Kevin Geek. You'll get that a lot. And then you have Burns, who's really a bit more strategic with it, which I think there's pros and cons to both ways. I haven't figured out which way I'm going to go yet. Let's see. Next up, that's not really a DFS question for this slate, so I won't get to it right now, Mark. Really need a solid quarterback for single entry and 3 max. I knew we were going to get this question, so that's why I didn't dig too deep yet on the quarterback spot. But Fling, I'm curious, who do you like for single entry with quarterbacks this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could go right to, the names we listed, like Brissett is in a good spot. He's cheap. I think Drake May. The issue with Drake May is, stacking him. Like, if you stack him with Diggs, Booty is going to go off. So, I think there's just the option to just run him naked. Don't stack him at all. Drake May is definitely one of those quarterbacks. And, so those are the two guys that I'd probably lean to. And if you do have to stack Drake May, I'm much more confident stacking him with Hunter Henry than any of the wide receivers, because it's a really good matchup. It's really the top matchup on the slate at tight end. That's what Hunter Henry has this week. So that'd be where I go.
All right. Tattoo, what about you?
It's Jacoby Brissett for me.
Fair. Burns?
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett opens up a lot of things for you at 5,300, whereas, guys in the 6K range just don't open it up as much. And I see this a lot in the high dollar single entry SEs that I'm in. You want guys that are in the 5s. They've really been producing solid scores, and it just helps your lineup across the entirety of the lineup. So take that with what you will, but I'll be rolling Brissett today. Desire, you're on mute.
Yep. For me, it's going to be Lamar, but I think a safer play in the safest single entry play is Brissett. Yep, good point. Aaron Rodgers is out. Let's see. Chuckson, what's up? He said, I made a lineup with Hurts +3. Is that too much or should I keep it? Burns, I think you mentioned you have a little bit of interest in Hurts. What are your thoughts on a +3 stack with him?
Honestly, I don't know if it's for like a Millie Maker type contest. By all means, roll it. But honestly, I don't know if Hurts can actually get 3 across the board and make it a viable play. I think it's Hurts. I think with Hurts, it's him +1 because he has the ability to get the tush push touchdowns. So do that, But if it's a big line, if it's a big contest like the Millie Maker, by all means, anything goes.
Kanger said, I have 5 quarterbacks for 150 as of now. Do I sub Lamar for Dak or run 6 with Lamar? Fling, what are your thoughts on this?
I would just do 6 with Lamar. Or is he sub Lamar for Dak? Nah. Or is he saying replace his Dak lineups with Lamar? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. He's saying right now he has 5. Should he keep the 5 and then put Lamar in for Dak or just run 6?
Honestly, we're 150. I think 6 is a pretty small pool of quarterbacks. So, yeah, I personally don't like Dak, but I definitely would get to some Lamar. So, yeah.
Burns, you're smiling. What are your thoughts?
I was just watching Tat's his facial expressions when Flynn was saying
when I said I don't like Dak.
Yeah. So I was just like laughing because of that, but
yeah.
Tattoo, do you like Dak today?
I love Dak every day.
Oh,
God. He's a boys fan. That's what he's got to do. Support the boys.
I mean, he's historically really had good games versus Philadelphia. Unfortunately, most of them have been in Philadelphia more than in Dallas. But, I mean, he's got good stats. I think 9-5. He's got 3,600 yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions over those games. I mean,
he has been really good this year. But I will say, I think
that first game against him, he didn't do much because Javonte Williams was.
Yeah, true.
But I mean,
this Eagles defense
better.
is
Their defense is holding up a little bit.
True.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I mean, I only have 6 lineups with them in 150. I mean, but I think Dallas actually wins today too.
Damn. Oh, Tattoo.
Of course you do.
Appreciate you. Oh man, I feel like you're in for some pain today, man. True. CR Noel said, which Cowboys receiver will Mitchell be on? Does he shadow to the slot? We talked about this a little bit on Friday. Burns, I know you've thought about this. What are your thoughts on it?
Quinyon Mitchell will actually, he's going to be on the boundary with George Pickens today. And this was an actual week 1 matchup. It's why I came off of Pickens after the Tournament Tactics show, after I did more research. Quinyon Mitchell as a boundary corner, defensive back, will actually take the entirety of that side of the field out of play.
Yeah, and that's what happened week 1 too.
It did. And what he does is he forces them out to the out of bounds area. So it makes that side of the field really short and very difficult for the receiver to get any yak out of it. Now, does that mean that Pickens can't go off and, slip a tackle and then, go for a 50-yard touchdown? Absolutely. Anything can happen. But probabilities show that boundary corners that are really good, like Quinyon Mitchell is, at the corner boundary spot, it's a difficult matchup for Pickens today. That's why I pivoted over to CeeDee Lamb instead.
Fair. And if you all remember, week 1 too was the story of CeeDee Lamb had a ton of drops. This could be like a nice little spot too, where he actually catches the ball for some big ones. So I don't hate that. Let's see. Looks like we might have been lagging a little bit at the start. Hopefully that's fixed. Next question, and also thank you for the super chat earlier, Noel. He said, how many pass catchers for the following quarterbacks? Mahomes, Dak, Goff, Brissett. Do you have a quick answer here, Burns?
Mahomes, he spreads it around a lot. So I honestly don't mind him with just one. Because of that, he spreads it around a lot. Dak is generally a +2 guy. Though, like what I just said about Pickens, it's tough with, him and CeeDee Lamb to fit them in. But, Ferguson's actually a decent play today. Goff can be +2. He can be +1, or you can do the running back and a wide receiver there. And then Brissett, we saw it last week. I mean, this guy blew up 3 guys in his offense. And so, honestly, with Brissett, I think you can go 2 and be comfortable there. Wilson and MCB are the primaries. And then if you don't like Wilson so much, but you like Dortch more, by all means. So, that's kind of how I would play it with all 4 of these guys.
Larry, we did get the news that Josh Jacobs is out, and Emanuel Wilson's really the guy that we like to kind of take on more of a role there. Jeanty is popping, and that's going to be a hell no for me, man. I put a hard cap there, slightly below field weight, because I was too chicken to completely uncheck him. Speaking of unchecking, Rick DeBlaze said, Burns, who are you unchecking today?
Oh, shit. Honestly, there's too many to name.
Yeah.
Basically, what I do is I uncheck everyone, and then all the players that are in my cheat sheet are rechecked, and then all the defenses that are favored home and away, they're all checked, but all the underdogs are unchecked, with the exception of the Browns today because they're going into Vegas and Geno Smith has sucked. He just sucks. But then if you go into my channel this morning, I've added notes in my channel of guys that I'm adding into my player pool that are outside of my cheat sheets. So those 2 resources are what you would need to do if you wanted to follow me or tail me.
Boom. And if you're wondering how do you get access to those resources, you have to join DFS Army. Link is in the description. Feel free to use promo code Burns for a 10% discount, Tattoo for a 10% discount, or Fling for a 10% discount. A lot of different codes, same result. And you can watch and look at the cheat sheets. You can join our Discord and you can have access to everything that was just mentioned there. Jonathan Williams said Jameson Williams, Michael Pittman, or AJ Brown. Who gets more fantasy points today? Fling, who do you like here?
Give me J-Mo.
J-Mo, all right.
Yeah.
Tattoo, 2. Oh, yeah, I have to unmute you, sorry. Who do you like? Okay, you have muted yourself, Tattoo. You did this literally to yourself. You have to unmute. Okay.
I did not do that to myself.
Sure.
I'm so, as much as I love James Williams, I'm sick of his name this weekend. But I would probably go J-Mo.
Okay. And it seems like you're in agreement, Burns, with that.
Yeah, I like Jameson Williams today. We talked about it in tournament tactics. Dan Campbell's been taking over the play calling more for the Lions over the last couple of weeks, and Jameson Williams has been a benefactor to this. Though I don't mind either of the other 2 either. I mean, Michael Pittman could have a day today in Kansas City, and AJ Brown could have a day today in Dallas. So I don't mind those 3 guys. And if you want to go all 3 of them together in a single lineup, I really wouldn't mind it at all.
Yeah. I don't hate AJ Brown. Michael Pittman's a little bit harder for me, but I see the vision. Let's see. Let's talk about the receiver position a little bit more now that we're starting to touch on it. Who are some of your favorite pay up options and then even some value plays? And Tattoo, I'll go right back to you on it. Who do you like at the receiver position?
Make sure you unmuted me first. Obviously, I have a lot of Michael Wilson because I have so much Brissett. You laughing at me?
No, I agree. I was like, yeah, I like Michael Wilson.
And then I have a ton of Devontae Smith, ASB. They're probably my favorites.
Boom. Yeah, I'm with you on both of those. Fling, where are you at?
Yeah, so I mean the top guys are, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got a really good man matchup. He props incredibly high. Right next to JSN, who's 1K above him. And then from there, I like the middle tier guys. Like the 5K, like Devonta Smith, Jamison Williams. I both think they are in smash spots. I'm fading T. Higgins today. Will not be on him. And then I think because I think there's a lot of 3 to 4K guys that like one of these guys are going to be a guy that you need. And I think you can make a case for a lot of them. I know Adonai Mitchell, we've talked about him. Like he's a guy that's either going to win you the tournament or get you a 0 because he's just kind of an idiot. Luther Burden, we're seeing an increase of snaps for him. So like he's a guy that, talent evaluators love before the draft. He was drafted high. His snap shares up. So, I think you can make a case for him. At like 3,600. Mooney, like the volume is going to be there for Mooney. Cousins and him did have a connection, and I know he's burned everyone and we're pissed off about him, but like he's a really good pivot off of like Michael Wilson and Jacoby Myers, at the same price and way less ownership. So those are like a few guys, for example, in, the cheaper range that I'm trying to get some exposure to.
Yeah, and once again, you didn't say a name that made me want to throw up, so I'm taking that as a W. Burns, where are you? Who stands out for you?
At the top end of the range, I mean, everybody's pretty much going to be on these guys. It's JSN, it's Amon-Ra. I mean, these guys are in play. Rice with Stacks and with Mahomes. A couple of guys in the 6K range that a lot of, I think they're going to go under owned today. Trying to get more of them into my lineups, especially in MME runs, is Chris Olave and Zay Flowers. So these are guys that I think could pop today. They're just not being talked about enough. And, they're 10%, 12% owned, which is when we look at these guys, they're normally like 18 to 25% owned. And then a lot of people are looking at that Philly game, and it could be Devonta. Well, it could be AJB too. So, one of those two guys could go off today. And then a lower, like in the 53s to 55 and below, guys that are I've subsequently added into my player pool are DK Metcalf, Wan'Dale Robinson, Romeo Dobbs. And then down in the 4s, yes, I'm in agreement 100% with each and every one of you on Wilson, Darnell Mooney, Jacoby Myers, those types. Yeah. But a guy that a guy that actually probably is going to go under owned today, but his coverage matchup is actually excellent. And there's two of them, is Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. These are two guys that are probably going to go under owned. And if you're playing Mahomes, and Mahomes likes to spread it around, I think these guys need to be in your player pool if you're going to play Mahomes.
Yeah.
And then in the 3s, I mean, pick your poison, but like with, guys like Burden and Adonai Mitchell, and then Aisha Voss, without any Jamar Chase and Sauce Gardner basically taking out T. Higgins in this game. Aisha Voss could actually benefit, as well as maybe the tight end.
Yeah, good old Yoshi. And that's such a good point. I am not high on Mahomes today, but the ownership on the other cheap receivers is a little weird, with him being pretty chalky. Jim Parrish said, do you think Detroit breaks the slate today, or who? Tattoo, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Do you think Detroit breaks the slate, or if not Detroit, who?
They certainly could. I've always had so much trouble with Detroit because it's spread around.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, obviously they have that potential. It's not them. I could see like the Colts and Chiefs game just back and forth. But I lean kind of Dallas and Philadelphia, like going off.
Fair. Fling, what are your thoughts on this one?
We talking about Detroit defense?
Detroit, just their team in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to ignore the team total. Like, it's literally climbed all week. I feel like it opened at 29 and then it went to 30 and then 31 and now it's at 32. So, I mean, Vegas is telling you something. So I do think that you're gonna need Detroit players in the nuts today.
It's the most likely outcome at this point. Diego said, "How do you guys feel about Charb today? He's too cheap. Walker's not 100%." Burns, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, he's in my cheat sheets. With the understanding that, Walker has not really done much this year. He's just been a teens fantasy point production player on DraftKings. And Charbonnet has really been itching for that, breakout, what potential that he actually has. And we've seen it kind of in the past when he doesn't have Kenneth Walker in play. And, if Walker is hobbled, and Tennessee, by no stretch of the imagination, is not a good defense against the run. And, I could see Charbonnet popping on the outside here via passes from Darnold on the outside. It's kind of where he makes his living. But I can also see him crossing the end zone too. So I don't mind Charbonnet. He's not propping very well. This run game is not propping very well, even though they are going up against a really bad defense against the run. They're just really not propping as TD dependent guys. So they would have to get it either on the ground or through the air, especially for Charbonnet. So if you feel like he can do that, then by all means.
Yeah. Nathan said nobody likes Rome. Odunze today. I like Caleb Williams, which means I kind of have to like Rome a little bit.
Yeah.
Outside of that, he's not showing up too much for me. But Burns, I know you mentioned him a little bit ago. What are your thoughts on Rome?
Rome's a perfect stack piece with Caleb. As a one-off in any other lineups outside of Caleb, I'm a no dice there. Mm-hmm. I just think he's too dependent on certain situations, and he's just not like a guy that you can go to. Like, guys that are lower in salary than him are much more dependent. Like, they're much more viable for one-offs. And he's just, I don't know if he can get there or not today. If he does get there, that means he's got 25 points and awesome. Those Caleb lineups are doing excellent, right? And so I think that's kind of how you have to play him. I would stack him only with Caleb and not one off him with anyone else. So
yeah, I don't disagree. We'll touch on defenses here soon, but thank you for keeping us on track, Jonathan. Tight end position. Interesting spot. Everyone loves Trey McBride, but I'm curious, Tattoo, if you already rolling your eyes, what are your thoughts on the tight end position?
Well, obviously, I'm sucking down the Trey McBride chalk, but just another name I'm sick of hearing about. I like Hunter Henry a lot, Mark Andrews. They're my top, really. Everybody else is kind of sprinkled in, but those three are my top three.
Yeah, I like those guys too. Fling, where are you at with these guys?
I mean, this is a crazy tight end slate. I feel like, my first read on the slate before the Emanuel Wilson news was like it was double tight end week, and I still think it could be. Obviously, Trey McBride's a top dog. Travis Kelce, is in a good spot this week. And then there's some value guys I think that are really going under the radar. Brenton Strange, the field is sleeping on this. Like Trevor Lawrence loves to target him, and he's 3,400. He's projected for 1% ownership. He was just activated like yesterday, so he's a guy that I really like. Brock Wright, kind of same thing. He's 3K, 1% ownership. He slides into the Laporta role. They got a 32-point implied team total. So those are some value guys that I'm definitely trying to get to. And then, I already mentioned Hunter Henry earlier. He really has a top matchup on the slate. So I think, one of these 3K guys has a good chance of being in the nuts in a double tight end build with Trey McBride. So. Yeah.
And Fling, I don't know if you know this, but we usually wrap up the show talking about our favorite low-owned play, kind of like below 10% or just not getting enough ownership at each position. So wanted to make sure I didn't spring that on you. But Burns, how are you thinking about tight ends this week?
Yeah, I think with tight ends, it's an interesting week. Everybody's going to be gravitating towards McBride, and rightfully so. I mean, he's basically 5 points over the next guy in line at $800 more. Which is significant. But guys up top, Brock Bowers actually is not bad play today. I added him into my player pool after seeing a few things, and that analysis is actually in my channel. Other guys, I have a lot of like on Travis Kelce today. I think how I hand build, when I start hand building, I want to see who actually is popping just for me. And it's Kelce in this offense. He's starting to get more run in this offense. I do not mind him at all today. I think he's a good play. Jake Ferguson at 1.4% owned, projected in a game where everybody's probably just going to, if they do Dak Prescott lineups, are going to gravitate to CeeDee Lamb. And Jake Ferguson is not a bad play off of that. And so I don't mind him at all, especially because his ownership is so low. I mean, you get Jake Ferguson sub 2%. That's incredible. Kyle Pitts, no Drake London, Juwan Johnson in that same game. Mark Andrews with a lot of people going elsewhere with stacks with Lamar. It could be actually Mark Andrews in this one. Jets, everybody's going after the really low salaried wide receivers with Adonai Mitchell et al. It could actually be a Mason Taylor week for that. Added Brock Wright into my player pool because the Detroit game, I know where a lot of the touchdowns are going to go. They're going to go to like 4 guys, right? One of those 4 guys. But, Brock could actually fall across the end zone and, trip across the end zone and say, hey, I got a touchdown. And then pay off his lovely little $3K, $3,200 salary. But another guy that I added in, he's actually really been seeing a lot of run in the Tennessee offense, and he's basically you got Alik Manor out, you got Calvin Ridley out, is Gunnar Helm at 2,700. If you need an absolute punt at the flex position where you want to stuff in a whole bunch of guys, and then you need 2,700 punt, it's Gunnar Helm over everybody else, because his volume for a guy that is a rookie that isn't popping like Tyler Warren is pretty good. He's got really good red zone target percentage. So, yeah, he's in the upper 20s in target percentage in the red zone. So,
okay. Hey, as soon as I think you're going Chig, you shoot me with the gunner. I like it.
Chig's almost becoming obsolete in this offense now.
End of an era. So sad to see. Look outside your window. Appreciate the super chat. He said, Burns and team, what are the flex and percentage ownerships this week? Is it a 3 running back week? And who is your 98% lock for you as a player? I know a lot of us don't do that, so we'll skip over that. If you don't, I'm not going to read the rest of that, but I still appreciate the super chat. All right. What are your flex percentages for this week, Burns?
55, 15, 100. And then my GPP owned is 140.
Nice. All right. Fling, what are your flex and ownership percentages?
Mine's going to be way more extreme than Burns. Honestly, I've been letting it ride. Normally, I've been, kind of capping tight end. And running back has been winning a lot this year. I think it's won the Millie Maker 80% of the time. So I've just been letting running back ride. Tight ends on this slate, I'm letting that ride too. My max ownership, I'm doing 110 this week.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I like it. Switching it up a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, the Wilson news switched things. I was going to be so low on running backs on the flex, but right now I'm kind of closer to Fling, where I'm just kind of letting a lot of things ride and keeping it not too constrained. And with me having Wilson, I'm keeping my projected ownership relatively high too, so nothing too specific. Tattoo, are you kind of following the same trend, or do you have different settings here?
Mine are a little different. I have 30 running back, 40 tight end, and just left wide receiver at 100. And my ownership is 120.
Nice. OCDD said Winston, McBride, Amon-Ra, or Flacco, Devontae, JSN. Fling, which side do you prefer?
Jeez, Winston, McBride, Amon-Ra. Yeah, I probably like that side. Probably like that a little bit more.
Which one?
This week?
Which side?
The Winston, McBride, Amon-Ra side.
Yeah, same. Jim Parrish said thoughts on Gesicki. Burns, did you look at him at all?
No. But I might have to uncheck him because he popped in my pool. Like the domination station does that. Sometimes he'll just pop these guys in the pool. And if you don't uncheck them, you have to uncheck them. But yeah, I still need to uncheck him.
Okay. Glad you got a reminder of someone to get rid of. Let's see. Next up, we have the defense position. I know, Burns, you have a philosophy here, so I'll let you go last. But Tattoo, who's standing out for you?
Let me see who I ended up with. Saints. I think the Browns are one of my favorites. And now I think I feel like, where did he go? Oh, Chicago. Chicago's probably like my favorite defense.
Picking on Mason Rudolph. I've seen that before. What about you, Fling? What defenses do you like?
The Browns, for me, really both of the defenses in that game. Like, I think you could tell a story where, Geno Smith has just been not been good this year. The Browns legitimately have a good defense, and they're under 3K, so I love that. On the other side, I think, I'll say this as a CU fan, a CU grad, Shedeur Sanders has a problem holding onto the ball too long. This was evident at Colorado, and we've seen it so far in the NFL. So the Raiders, Mason Crosby definitely can wreak havoc. So I like both those defenses. The Saints, Kirk Cousins has not looked good over a year plus now. He does not have Drake London. So I think there is a real scenario where the Saints just stack the box, say, we're going to make Kirk Cousins beat us. And that has not looked good for the past calendar year. So I like the Saints at 2,500 as well. Those are three of my favorites. And then obviously the Lions, massive favorites at home against Jameis Winston, who is very much a let's chuck it deep and see what happens quarterback. I mean, what could go wrong there? So those are my favorite ones on the slate.
I just can't believe you dared to mention Kirk Cousins after what you did to me in our staff league.
I forgot about that. I feel those who don't know, we had a deal. We had a deal with Kirk Cousins for a third in our dynasty league, and then I DM'd B-Dub, and he was willing to trade me Brissett for a fourth. So Sorry about that, Josiah. Our deal did not get to the finish line.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. All right, Burns, how are you thinking about defenses here?
Yeah, I mean, basically, the only underdog defense that I'm actually really interested in is the Browns. Every other underdog defense can basically be unchecked. From the favorite perspective, I mean, yeah, the Vegas Raiders are definitely in play. I think Shedeur Sanders is atrocious. He showcased it last week that he's atrocious. He's just not going to be a respectable NFL quarterback in this league, at least in my opinion, and how I evaluate quarterbacks from an efficiency metric. But outside of that, I think the one defense that could, and I talked about this on the Tournament Tactics show, so I'm not going to reiterate what I said, but I think the one defense, they're at home. It seems like it could be a very difficult matchup for the defense on the other side of the ball. But the way Spagnolo handles this defense at home, it's a different level defense than on the road. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be I'm not going to say that they could break the slate. I think they could be a very viable defense today, especially because of how Spagnolo just schemes defensively when they're at home. And they're going to be really low owned. I don't think this 4% is going to be the metric that they're at. I think they're going to be sub that because there's a lot of different defenses around them that are actually people will just, click the button more than, when they see Jonathan Taylor and the Colts are like, oh my gosh, no way, I can't do that. But, I think they take the approach of stopping Jonathan Taylor in this game. You got to stop the best player. And I think they take that approach. I think they try to take him out of this game prospectively, and then, from there. But there are other defenses that are in great spots. Green Bay is in a great spot metrically. Whether they do it remains to be seen. They haven't done it really. Detroit, yeah, they're in a great spot. I mean, Detroit's a great it's going to be a great spot for them against the Giants. The Giants suck. They're my team. They suck. Jameis Winston sucks. He can throw probably 7 picks in this game. And yep. And then, it's just kind of from there. Like, I like the Ravens, Jets they're awful. Let's just put it that way. They're awful. And so, but this is the NFL. Anything could happen, but the Ravens are in a really good spot too. As well as the New England Patriots on the road. I mean, they're in a good spot against the Bengals. So by all means, these are great defenses. Stick with the favorites.
Yeah. And if that Chiefs Colts game is just all defensive, I will be very happy today, but we'll see what happens there. QW said, where does the Sanders hate come from? Man, I would love to see Sanders be great. I just don't think he's him, to be honest.
I'll say this. So there was a lot of things that he did well. He has is an NFL style quarterback. He's good at reading defenses. He throws it with accuracy. The problem with Sanders is he's too arrogant and he holds on to the ball too long. So if he can overcome those things, then he could be a decent NFL quarterback. But
yeah, I mean, as you can see though, even in the draft, those mental things like arrogance, hell of a drug, hard to get past.
Yeah.
Gumas said Jeanty is popping in the optimal. Burns, I'll go to you on this. What are you doing with Jeanty?
I basically X'd him out of my player pool.
Yeah.
The reason why is Cleveland Browns, for what it is for the Cleveland Browns, they are a solidified defense in the NFL. They are a very good defense. They're probably the top 15 defense in the NFL. What they do best as a defense is they stop the run. Ashton Jeanty could get it done on the outsides via the pass. And if I was to play him, that's what I would be rooting for Ashton Jeanty to do, is get it done via the pass. And then, maybe between the tackles every, here or there on each drive. But in reality, is Ashton Jeanty gonna? I don't know. He may get 20 to 30. Who knows? This is the NFL. Anything can happen.
Anything
can
happen. I mean, I haven't. Oh, go ahead.
But if he's popping, maybe just let it flow. But I X'd him out because I just don't play running backs against the Cleveland Browns defense.
Yeah.
I mean, look what they did to King Henry. I mean, it's tough.
Also, Jeanty just hasn't been that guy this year. I've only played him once, and that was against Chicago. Outside of that, I haven't touched him. So I didn't X him. I capped him at 12, just kind of trying to match the field, but I like the X. But let's go ahead and get to the final part of the show, touching on our favorite low-owned sneaky plays by position. You don't have to add defense, but you can if you want to. Tattoo, who are you looking at?
Quarterback, low owned, probably. I'll just Caleb. He's 4%. Running back, like I said before, Trevion Henderson. Probably my favorite right there. Wide receiver, I like Darius Slayton a little bit.
Okay.
But like my sneaky, I got drunk before I made this pick is Matt Collins.
I like it. Well, definitely like not on anyone's radar, but definitely also has upside. So I don't hate it. Yeah.
And I mean, tight end. I guess if we're going like low ownership, it would probably be like Dallas Goedert.
Yep. I like that game too. Awesome. All right, Fling. What about you? How are you thinking about your favorite low-owned sneaky plays?
Well, I'll say this. They got better because Emanuel Wilson is now going to be, probably 30% owned. I love playing the Green Bay passing side of this game. Love. So, yeah, Love is low owned. Romeo Doubs, probably my favorite guy under 10%. You get direct leverage off of the Emanuel Wilson chalk. And then also, he's right around the range of guys like Michael Wilson, Jacoby Myers, as I talked about a little bit earlier. So, yeah, I saw it asked a couple times in the chat, and I am in agreement. Jordan Love stacks as, leverage off of the Emanuel Wilson chalk.
Fair. I think that's a really easy way of just kind of switching the narrative there. Burns, what about you?
Yeah. Couple of guys that are probably going to go under owned today. Caleb Williams at home, favored. I don't know why, but under 5% ownership is a little interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why Lamar Jackson isn't one of the highest projected owned quarterbacks on the slate. The Jets are coming in. It's just, can the Jets actually do anything to keep Lamar Jackson, oh yeah, let's keep scoring type thing, or I should say, the coaching staff there, right? But Lamar is an interesting under 10% owned play there. Yeah, I mean, I've made lineups with Jordan Love. I hand built them, and he's not in my player pool for him and me, but he's hand built, and I'll have a few lineups with him, and they're not bad lineups, with him in there. And his pass catchers are very low salaried guys. We're talking in the mid fours, and so that's not bad at all. Mid to Dobbs' upper fours. So I don't mind that at all. Yeah, especially now that we're going to get Chalk Wilson. I 100% agree with you, Fling, on that. Especially in MME, like that's kind of how you should approach things. At the running back spot, I think one of the best plays in terms of salary is a 1-to-1 pivot right off of Wilson. I mean, it's a salary 1-to-1 pivot is David Montgomery. Talked about him earlier in the slate or earlier in the show. I mean, you don't have to do much to get this guy in your lineups. If you have Wilson lineups, you can offset him in a percentage of those just with a 1-to-1 pivot to Montgomery. Montgomery's got him. The last I checked, he had a minus 155 touchdown prop today, anytime touchdown. So take that with what you will. I think he could get 60 to 70 yards on the ground and a few catches in this one. Maybe he gets 20 yards and 2 catches, and then he scores a touchdown. Hey, you got almost 20 points there. So it could happen. So I'll just leave it at that one. If you got to go lower in salary today because you're trying to get as many studs in your lineup as possible, Tootin is not a bad play at all at $4,600. He's starting to get more run in this Jacksonville backfield, and ETN is ceding shares to him every week. So Tootin could be a guy this week. At the wide receiver range, there's a lot of viable under 10% owned guys here. Yeah. And maybe one of the top ones in the 4K range, and it could actually happen today for him, is Xavier Worthy with Mahomes stacks. I only save him for Mahomes stacks. I don't think he's viable outside of them. I think he's not a one-off type guy. As well as Darnell Mooney. I mean, I'm surprised he's still under 10% owned with Drake London out. And then, I'll just leave it at those guys. And then Ishavas, he's 4% owned. And we're going to get in an offense where T. Higgins is going up against Sauce Gardner, and Sauce Gardner, he's not Patrick Surtain or anything, but he can shut down T. Higgins. And then at the tight end range, I did talk about this guy already in the show up top. Everybody knows MCB is awesome. Kelsey's awesome. 2 guys that are probably going to be lower owned than those guys at the top of the range. Ferguson is going to be under 2% owned today in a high-flying game that could potentially shoot out of the Philly and Dallas game. If you can get a guy that's sub 2% owned, holy WTF. And then Brock Bowers as well. I mean, he could be under 10% owned today too. So those are guys. And then my under 10% owned guy, I'm going to say under 5% for defense because 10% is a little too high owned, is the Kansas City Chiefs today. I think there's something with them today about them and how Indianapolis, everybody loves JT, and rightfully so. Man, I just don't know. I'm really interested in see how Spagnolo game plans. Maybe it's a fail for them, and Indianapolis runs all over them. But Spagnolo at home, defense, I'll take it.
Love it. And then Tattoo, who's your ATD?
Ooh, you got me because you had me saying. I need to look at the odds, but I was gonna say Zach Charbonnet.
Zach Charbonnet. There you go. There's a hell of a big one. All right, y'all. That is the show for this week. We will be back next Sunday. Feel free to reach out in the Discord if you have any questions. If not, we will see you all next week. Peace out.